If you're on RLS medication, there are some serious side effects that have only recently become known that will make you wonder if it's time to switch. I'm Mark Chapman. I'm switching from ropinirole to gabapentin after 6 years. Not because ropinirole stopped working, because I know what happens if I wait too long. Today I'm explaining the 5 signs it's time to switch RLS medications, when you should not switch, and how to do it safely. The first sign is called augmentation. If your symptoms now start earlier in the day than they used to, what began at bedtime now starts at dinner, or what was just your legs now includes your arms, or despite increased doses, your RLS is getting worse, then you're experiencing augmentation. It's when dopamine agonist medications like pramipexole, ropinirole, or rotigotine cause your RLS to worsen instead of improve. If you're experiencing augmentation, switching medication classes is usually necessary. Sign number 2, if the side effects are outweighing the benefits. Impulse control disorders, extreme sleepiness, nausea so bad you can't function, depression, anxiety, or an inability to focus, or perfectionism. Your medication could be causing any of these problems that don't need to be there. I struggle with a number of these, which is why I'm switching. Sign number 3, you need progressively higher doses. Over time, your dose has increased and increased again just to get the same effectiveness and perhaps even less. This progressive dose escalation, especially with dopamine agonists, often indicates you're heading towards augmentation, even if you're not there yet. This is definitely a sign to look at other options. Now, a quick pause here. If you're finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I post twice a week about RLS from published research and my own experience so you can manage it better. All right, sign number 4, the medication stops being effective. So it might have worked for 2 years, then the effectiveness reduced, so your doctor increases the dose, and then it works again, but then it starts to reduce again. This is a common cycle. So it's particularly prevalent again with dopamine agonists, and it suggests the medication class may not be suitable for you long term, and you need to look at options. Sign number 5 is simply if you're on a dopamine agonist medication and you know about the new 2025 guidelines. So the American Academy of Sleep Medicine released new guidelines in 2025. Dopamine agonists are no longer recommended as first-line treatment for RLS. And why is this? Well, they have been proven to cause augmentation and impulse control disorders. The risk-benefit profile has changed. If you're on a dopamine agonist, pramipexole, rotigotine, or ropinirole, it's worth discussing alternatives with your doctor, even if you're not experiencing problems yet. And when should you not switch? Well, here's the thing. If your medication is working well, you're on a low, stable dose, you're not experiencing side effects, and you're not showing signs of augmentation, you might not need to switch. The goal isn't to get everyone off dopamine agonists immediately. The goal is to recognize when switching makes sense versus when it doesn't. If it's not broken, don't fix it. We know that saying, but you still should monitor for warning signs. Now, if you do want to consider switching, what should you switch to? Well, the 2025 American Association for Sleep Medicine guidelines now recommend drugs called alpha-2 delta ligands as first-line treatment. That's gabapentin and pregabalin. These medications don't cause augmentation. They don't cause impulse control disorders. They work through a completely different medicine. The trade-off, they have a different side effect profile. So you might experience dizziness, weight gain, and drowsiness. All of these are possible, but there's no augmentation or compulsive gambling or shopping. And for many people, that's a better risk-benefit balance. Now, let's be really clear. Any medication changes must be done in conjunction with your health professional. There can be serious health effects if you simply stop. And when you do talk to your doctor about it, here's some tips. So firstly, don't just say, I want to switch medications. Be specific about it. Tell them that you're experiencing symptoms earlier in the day, or I'm concerned about impulse control disorders. Or let them know you've read about the 2025 American Association for Sleep Medicine guidelines recommending gabapentin as first-line treatment. I'll put a link to those guidelines down in the description. You could bring that documentation to the meeting if you need. My doctor didn't even know about these guidelines until I sent her the details. They are publicly available, and studies on augmentation rates have also been published. Most doctors will listen if you present clear reasoning. And if you're not getting answers that make sense, consider a second opinion from a sleep specialist or neurologist. I'm doing this switch right now, starting gabapentin while tapering off ropinirole. The ropinirole still works, although the dose has increased year by year, and I'm now at the highest dose possible. I've also noticed augmentation signs, and I want to avoid worsening impulse control disorders because I'd rather prevent problems than manage a crisis later. This is a personal medical decision I'm making with my doctor based on my specific situation. Your situation may be different, but if you're experiencing any of the 5 signs I mentioned, it's worth having the conversation. The bottom line here is switching RLS medications is a medical decision that requires professional supervision. But the 5 signs I've outlined can help you recognize when it's time to have that conversation. Safer medication options exist, and the 2025 guidelines reflect that. If you're struggling with side effects or augmentation, you don't have to just accept it. Talk to your doctor, bring information, ask questions, and advocate for yourself. Now, an important disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. This is educational information based on research and my experience with RLS. It's not medical advice. So never stop or change medications without medical supervision. Stopping dopamine agonists suddenly can be dangerous. So always work with your healthcare provider when considering medication changes.